Welcome to Backstage Pass, the podcast that gives you an all-access ticket behind the magic with the people who make Disney truly special, its cast members. I'm Dory, your host and fellow Disney fan, here to share first-hand stories from the cast members who bring the parks to life. From heartwarming moments to behind-the-scenes secrets, we're uncovering the magic together. So grab your Mickey ears, it's time to step backstage. Hello and welcome back to the Backstage Pass with Dory podcast. I'm Dory, and I am really excited to share this story with you. This comes from Lacey, and Lacey has actually shared on our podcast before. It was a really sweet story about some amazing cast members who made an impression on one of her children. And this is actually about the other one, and it's a continuation of that story. So Lacey said this: I have a story from my daughter who was really struggling after my son's dog attack. She was a shell of herself and really resonated with Red the pirate. She found strength in her, so she asked if we could please meet Red while we were there. We found her, and my daughter just started sobbing because she loved her so much. The Red saw how we loved her and hugged her and took her by the hand, walked around with her, and even put her on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. She was so sweet and kind to my daughter. She will always hold a special place in our hearts too. How wonderful and special. Now, from my experience, there is no meet and greet with Red at Disney World. This is from Disneyland. But again, how sweet and special when these cast members and these characters see the humanity in these experiences and see what they mean to us guests. This is why I love this podcast, because we get to celebrate those special moments. This wasn't anything big or grand. It was just recognizing the importance of that moment for that child and making it even more special. So thank you, Red. Now, I'm really excited for this conversation with Hailey. Let me tell you all about Hailey. Hailey Hightower has been with the Walt Disney Company for 3 years. She started in the Disney College program before becoming a trainer and then a coordinator at Hollywood Studios Outdoor Vending. She has just begun training to be a Fairy Godmother Apprentice at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique in Magic Kingdom, where she will make magic and spread pixie dust to young guests. So with that, help me welcome Hailey Hightower. Hi, Hailey. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I am so excited to talk to you.
I'm very excited to talk to you as well.
Oh, good. Oh my goodness. I was just looking over your bio and recording that pre-interview piece. I am excited to find out what the difference is of each of these jobs and how that transition from DCP to full-time cast member has been. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start back at the beginning. When did Disney enter your life?
Disney has been a part of my life forever. It's something I can remember from the get-go. My parents have always loved Disney. So I grew up coming to the parks more than I can even count.
That's awesome.
So,
did you have a favorite park, a favorite ride from childhood?
my favorite park was when I was a kid and still is Magic Kingdom. There's just something about the castle and when I was a kid, that was the park we went to the most.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it has the most nostalgia. And like that just is the epitome of the parks to me down here in Florida.
Yeah.
And my favorite ride today is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. There's just I'm a big roller coaster person, so Space Mountain, Expedition Everest, those are all for me.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. As a kid, what was your favorite?
Space Mountain.
Okay. All right. So
Yep.
you were a daredevil from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, as you're coming down, do you have any special memories? I mean, I know that you were down here a lot, so I'm sure a lot of those trips kind of run together. But do you have just things that stuck out so that as you then came as an adult, it just was like, oh my goodness, like that full circle moment?
I don't remember all the bits and pieces, but I do remember when I was, the very first time I did the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique experience,
Mhm.
in the castle, right, as a little girl, like becoming a princess and having someone pamper you. That's just like every little girl's dream, right? Like to suddenly look like their favorite princess and be in a
Right.
castle. But I also had some days where like we were down here for like a conference for my dad or something else was going on. And so I got to be in the parks with just one of my parents too. So it wasn't even just like obviously I love being with both of them, but sometimes it just got to be like me and my mom exploring the parks. And I remember she and I went one day while my dad was at a conference, and I ended up spontaneously doing the Pirates boutique experience that they used to have in Adventureland.
Right.
Just out of the blue, she was like, "Let's do it." And I ended up this was at the time they were kind of in between castle shows and I don't know if you remember, but PhotoPass would upload photos that they took throughout the day and upload them onto the castle on the projections. And one of my pictures of dancing the parade dressed as a pirate was up there. And my mom and I were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm on the castle!" Like,
That's
it's just
so
those
cool.
yeah, truly magical experiences that you aren't expecting when you
Right.
go to Disney, and that's what always stuck with me.
Right. Oh, I,
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine. Oh my, I got like goosebumps just hearing that. Um, so I went to the parks as a kid, 35, I'm 40, so 35-ish years ago, and then there was a huge chunk that I didn't. And so I missed a lot of really cool stuff that they were doing, and only recently have become a huge Disney nerd again. I mean, I've always loved Disney and the movies, but the parks just has been a new awakening. So I missed a lot of that really cool stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, they were doing some cool stuff
Yeah,
and
yeah.
still are.
Oh, still
Yeah.
are. Absolutely. Okay, so when you're a kid, are you also watching the movies, identifying with certain characters?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, who's your
We
princess?
had my princess is Rapunzel.
Oh, good answer.
When I was a little girl, it was Ariel.
Hmm.
Um, but today is Rapunzel. However, they are created by the same animator. So that kind of does, I feel like, resonate with the fact that like he, you know, had some similarities along those lines. But
Right.
I just love Rapunzel. I love she has that dream. She's gonna go get it. I love her determination for that.
I love that. I love that. So,
Yeah.
tell me then, as a kid, are you, I mean, this is called Backstage Pass. I know that you had some theater experience, but can you kind of talk about that and
Yeah.
how that has influenced you now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I did theater, musical theater for 12 years.
Mhm.
So back home, I was a part of Character Works, which was an after-school youth program, and I started at the age of 6 doing classes. So the second that I could do the shows and be on the stage, I was there. My parents were both big athletes growing up, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have, this like amazing athlete. She's gonna be D1," and they put me in sports, and it was not for me. And
It
we
didn't
went and saw
click.
a show, and that was it. Like I was like, put me up there. Let's do it.
Right.
So from the ages of 8 to 19, I was performing on stage. Um, and it like I still miss it to this day. But it was my love and my passion. And probably around the middle school age was when it transitioned to me from just a hobby, but like truly a passion. When you're a young kid and you're doing it, you're like, this is fun. My friends are doing it too. Like, let's do it. But eventually there's like a switch of like, oh, like there's like more meaning than just singing and dancing on a stage. And you get to have that transition into, okay, what does acting mean? And how do you portray these emotions that this character is feeling? Um, and getting to discover that and have mentors who guided me through that process of like, oh, like this is how you do it now that you actually, want to see the more detailed aspect of it. And not only that, but I got to be a part of the behind the scenes stuff of that. As from the age of 13, I was volunteering backstage with the tech aspects with microphones and lighting design and different things like that. So
Right. That's
it engulfed my life.
100%. I understand. That was my childhood and teenage years as well. That
Yeah.
was, um, I think that the theater can train us. Sports is fine and good, but I was a theater kid as well, and theater just trains you for so many life lessons
It
down
does.
the road.
Um, Rejection is not an easy thing. Rejection is not easy at all. And I had the privilege of learning that at a young age. I wasn't cast in every show that I auditioned for. There were some shows that I auditioned for, and I didn't even get to be a part of it. And then there were always the times where I wanted this role and like, oh, that was the dream. And maybe I got super close to it, but in the end, somebody else was a better fit for it. And that's not always the easiest thing to understand, but being able to learn that and understand it at a younger age made it easier for things in life when that job wasn't meant for me or that promotion wasn't meant for me. Like there's always a reason for it, and you're going to figure out what your next path is.
I love that. I love that. It's so wise, and it's something that you learn at a really young age when you're a theater kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite show that you did?
So I do have a tie.
Okay.
Can't lie. I did Tarzan during my freshman year of high school, and I got the privilege of playing my dream role as Jane Porter. For, certain organizations like Character Works mentorship with the younger kids and older kids is a super big thing. And the very first time we did Tarzan, I was 9 years old, and the girl who played Jane was like the person who I looked up to. She was just everything I wanted to be. So that kind of became my dream role because it was her who played it.
Mhm.
So I got that amazing, amazing, beautiful like princess dream opportunity there. And then I also got to be a part of the first time they did Matilda. Um, and I was Mrs. Wormwood, which was a totally complete, right? Like, let's be like this like proper British heroine, and now let's be this like
Not.
crazy British evil mother. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
What a fun role.
oh my gosh, it was so, so fun.
Yes, yes. Those are the best roles, in my opinion, are the antagonist roles.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But how fun that you got to have both of those experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. Getting able to have both experiences and also bend my abilities, see which ways I can go, right? Like I can say I did this, I can say I did that. Look at that versatility a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you are ending that period of your life and you're moving on to the next period, what happens next after you graduate high school?
So, I actually went straight into the Disney College program as soon as I left Character Works. Quite literally a 2 week like gap in between the two. Um, During my senior year there, we found out we were moving to Florida anyways. And I was actually attending community college at the time because I had graduated high school a year early. So I was eligible, and I had found out about the Disney College program in like fourth grade.
Mhm.
Like I found out about it and I was like, I'm doing that. Like that's what I'm doing. And so I was eligible. We were moving to Florida anyways. And, I was completely changing landscapes at that point, had nowhere, didn't know exactly what I was going to do next. And so it felt like the right decision. I applied, I ended up getting it. So I left Character Works July 31st. Like that was my very last day in Virginia, even. We moved August 1st, and I started August 22nd at the
Wow.
Disney College program. So it was a
Wow.
very quick turnaround.
Yes.
But I also think it was the best turnaround for me to end such a large chapter of my life
Right.
and begin the next big one.
That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
um, when you first applied, did you just go in with this confidence of it's going to happen, I'm going to get it?
I just was like, I'm gonna be there. I've always like, I'm eligible. Let's do it. Like, why not?
Right.
And at the time that I applied, it was still like coming back into full swing from COVID.
Mhm.
So it wasn't the normal application process that people would go through today. So it was a slightly different, like it was a slightly altered version. I didn't have to do a phone interview or any type of like online interview, which is very weird
Right,
and not
right.
something they do. They did it pre-COVID, they do it now, but at that time it was not something that they offered. They also didn't offer character auditions at the time that I applied. They were still, reopening that process. But yeah, I applied and ended up getting it, I think like a month later or so, and there was one slot left for the time that I wanted to arrive. Um, and I was like, okay, meant to be, that's me. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. So, what was your first role?
So my very first role was outdoor vending at Hollywood Studios.
Hmm.
So basically all of those food stands that you see throughout the parks, the popcorn, the pretzels, the churros, the Mickey bars, those classic snacks that you think of. And they're located all throughout Hollywood Studios except for Galaxy's Edge, just
Hmm.
because, they're their own little special galaxy.
Yep.
So I worked all throughout the park, including Fantasmic. Actually, during my college program, we reopened Fantasmic. Um, from COVID. So
Uh-huh.
that was a really, really unique experience to be a part of and be a part of some of the very first people working up there after not being open for so many years.
Right. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That was um we were starting to go a lot more often, and that was, I remember, very, very special when Phantasmic reopened.
Oh my gosh. It was so amazing. And something really, really special. Disney really does care about their cast members, right? And they understand that we're just as big, if not bigger, Disney fans than some of the guests that are coming in.
Right.
And so they give us the opportunity to do special cast previews to these opening events.
Oh,
Um, and if you work at those specific parks, you get the first pick of the cast previews, right? Like if you work at Magic Kingdom, you're going to get this one. If you work So I was there for actually the very first opening night when that cast had an audience. Um, and I got to bring guests with me. So my parents came down and they came with me, which is also, like for me, like they brought me to these magical experiences as a kid, and now I got to bring them to something magical as well with this thing that we all love.
right.
Um, which is just so special to be able to like give that to them after everything they've given to me.
Hmm.
Um, but we got to sit there and be in an audience with a bunch of other Disney crazy cast members as we're freaking out over this new show with new characters and new scenes. And yeah, it was one of those special moments that we still talk about today.
Oh gosh, I could only imagine that the energy in that stadium was, I mean, it's amazing no matter what show you go to,
Yeah.
but for that one, oh,
My dad says it to this day. He's like, we go and people are yelling and excited. He was like, but that place erupted
right.
with excitement. Yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh. And I can't even, because there were new scenes, there were new
Mhm.
pieces
Yeah,
of it.
Elsa was there for the first time. Mulan was there. Like we added a bunch of Moana walking on the water. Like,
I
yeah,
cry every time I see that. We've lost count of how many times we've seen
oh my
Phantasmic, and I
gosh.
cry every time she's down there
Yeah,
splashing in the water. Yeah.
yeah.
What's your favorite of all of the scenes?
Elsa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just love Elsa and her power on the rock. And then, they ended up adding an outfit change later on
Yes.
throughout the run. And so that was pretty cool
Yeah.
to see that. But, when we're working Fantasmic, we're not necessarily watching the show. We do have a job to do and clean up to do and get ready for the next show. But like we do get to see sneaks and, little peeks of it every now and again through the curtains. And when there's something new like that, we're all like, okay, let's see it. And like
Yes.
we get to be some of the first people to see it too.
That's awesome. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. So as you're working all of these outdoor areas, so you're in the food side of it, not
The
necessarily the
food.
bubble wand side.
No, that's
Okay.
merchandise,
Okay.
unfortunately. I would love to be a bubble wand girly, but no, yeah, it's the food and beverage aspect of it, making the popcorn, um, stocking the carts.
Hmm.
You see those giant metal dollies rolling through the parks and they're just filled with whatever product those carts need, as well as making the pretzels and the churros and learning all those different aspects of it. In my department, we have secondary trainings, as I like to call it, or my old department, but we'll get to that. But you learn the aspect of just working in the carts themselves first, and then later on you'll learn how to stock a cart or how to make the product. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what does your rotation look like? Because I know each position, it looks different.
Yeah, every location is different too, depending on the staffing of that day.
Mhm.
It honestly just depends. Sometimes, you could be there for like 30 minutes, you could be there for 2 hours. It just depends.
Okay.
Obviously, we do rotations more often just because of the fact that it is outdoors and we live in Florida and it's hot. But it just depends. If you do have one of those trainings for a specific role, like a cooker position, probably going to get moved around a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah. What was your favorite area to be stationed in?
Oh, that's a great question. I really liked Sunset Boulevard.
Mhm.
I love the sound, like the music,
Yeah.
of that area. And there's just something special about getting to look at Tower of Terror too while you're working.
And hear the
Um,
screams all the time.
yeah, so hear the screams, hear the hear the screams, hear the shows, hear Beauty and the Beast happening.
Right.
And every cart has its own name.
Hmm.
It's typically based off of around what it's near.
Hmm.
And so there is a cart on Sunset Boulevard called Tower, the Tower ice cream cart. And I personally, my name's Hailey Hightower.
Yeah.
I felt like that was pretty cool to be working at that cart.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of times where I was we use radio transmissions. There were plenty of times I was accidentally sent to that cart just because they said my last name over the radio.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, go to Tower." And I was like, "Okay." And I get there and they were like, "No, you're not supposed to be here." And I was like, "Oh, well, makes sense."
Yes. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So then after that, how long were you in that role?
So I actually ended up being that in that role until a few days ago, actually.
Okay.
So I was there for the majority of, so I spent my first 6 months there, and I ended up extending my program to a full year, which you can do. It can't exceed a calendar year, but you can do a year. And I ended up becoming a trainer at that location about 7 months into my college program.
Okay. So what does
Um,
that look like
so
as a trainer?
um, it was my favorite thing. I loved it, and it was because you got to welcome in those very, very new, fresh cast members, right? It's their first time. They're overwhelmed. They're also really excited. And in a role like mine, it's a lot.
Mhm.
We throw a lot of information at you in a in a short amount of time. And I would tell them, if you remember all of this, I'd be amazed. Like you can ask questions, you know what I mean? Like it's a new position. Um, but getting to bring them in that very first time they step into a park in their costume with their name tag on, with guests interacting with them, it's a lot. It's a lot for them. It's a lot for the trainer too, because you gotta, talk to the guests and explain what's going on in here but you get to see them have that magic come to life in their eyes as a cast member and realize, oh my gosh, like this is what I get to do. So
Right.
that's really special.
Right. Um, and then after being a trainer, then you became a coordinator.
I did, yeah. So after my full year on the college program, I stayed on. I'm a part-time cast member, but I worked a lot of full-time hours. I'm still in school, so trying to balance those two aspects. But I ended up being there for about a year as just a part-time trainer with the program with the department. And then about a year after that is when I became a coordinator, which I also really, really loved. So basically, a coordinator is a specific role at Disney. It's basically just an assistant manager. We just use some fancy terminology as we do at Disney,
Very magical.
but very magical. You get the special pin and everything with the Mickey on it. And,
Yeah.
it's just something special about that, just like the Jiminy Cricket trainer pin. But that one had its own, new aspects of it of I actually was really a roaming role. I was never stuck to one location. Um, we had about 4 to 5 closing coordinators every night, depending on, which area you're in. There's always one at Fantasmic and there's 4 in the park.
Yeah.
So with that in the mind, if you're out in the park, we split our areas into specific, zones. That way it's not too much on one person to look at and be in charge of.
Mhm.
But you get to roam through a certain area of the park and you've got about 6 to 7, maybe more, probably 6 to 7 areas that like carts that you are in charge of. So
Mhm.
you're just roaming around, making sure the cast is good, making sure the carts have what they need to service our guests, and taking care of that. But I got to walk around and I got to interact with guests and sometimes more personable experiences just because of the fact that I'm not just standing at a cart and giving them the food that they're looking for, but they're asking me the questions and asking me where they can go for this and I can help them get there and different things like that.
That's awesome. Do you have any experiences with guests that you remember that stand out?
I do have quite a few. I mean, with my department in ODV, we do have the opportunity, to create some magical moments. And if you want that Mickey bar, here's that Mickey bar. It's on Mickey. Obviously there's some restrictions to that, but
Sure.
we have that opportunity, and not every department does.
Hmm.
You know, attractions can't just be handing out lightning lanes every day that they want, and different things like that. So those are the types of things that do stick with me.
Yeah.
Um, just because I liked to give it to the most unassuming people.
Hmm.
Like they just were looking for what they wanted, and that they had no other expectation with that,
Right.
and giving that, okay, here you go. And they're just like, what? What do you mean? And you're like, have a great day, right? Um, but with the coordinator position, I personally like to take my time if I wasn't, on a time restraint or like had somewhere specific to be to help with another situation. If they're asking me where something is, I'm gonna walk with them to that
Hmm.
location. And I'm not just gonna point and hope that they can get there sometimes, figuring out the parks when you don't have the map in your head, it can be difficult. So walking them there, talking with them, how's your day been? Where are you from visiting us from? Those types of things. And just, they may not remember it, but I'll remember walking them over to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which was maybe 2 feet away. But, we still got to have a little chat and get you to where you needed to be.
Right, right. It's just that extra little bit of
Yeah.
personal attention that you're able to give them. I also love that you
Yeah.
did the Disney point just there. Just, the two fingers.
It's instinct.
I know. It's
Instinct.
great. It's great. I love it. Um, okay, so then I know that has wrapped up, and there's
It
a new
has, yeah.
chapter that's starting for you. What started that for you?
Um, I had been there for quite some time. I was, in August would have been 3 years that I had been with ODV,
Hmm.
right? So I've been with the company for almost 3 years, and some people move around way more often than that. You don't realize how much one person, was here and here and here and here until you meet some people and they're like, oh, I've listed off like 15 different roles that I've had. But I think I was ready for a new experience. I had, been the cast member, been the trainer, been the coordinator, and I loved my time with all of that. But I kind of was itching for a little something new.
Hmm.
Um, I will also say, every role isn't um, as maybe pixie dust as you imagine it's going to be from the get-go. Sometimes you have to create that magic for yourself. And that's what you kind of have to do sometimes in a role like food and beverage,
Hmm.
because it's just food and beverage, but you get to create those experiences and that magical aspect for yourself. But I had done that for quite some time, and I was kind of looking for something that was completely different and out of the realm. And I worked in food and beverage before I came to Disney, so I was ready to be out of it.
Right.
Um, so I put in a little transfer, thought, let's see how this goes. And I ended up going through the interview process for the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and getting that. And my whole entire interview process took about a week and a half,
Okay.
which is very fast.
Hmm.
And then I sat on a wait list for a little bit of time just because, you can be approved for the role, but you don't know when they're going to have availability for the people that they have on the wait list. So I really wasn't sure. I could have sat there for a year and it could have expired. Like I had no idea what that was going to look like. And about a month later, I got the email saying that it was my time to move on from ODV, move on from Hollywood Studios, right? My home park at that point, um, and move to Magic and do the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique experience at the castle. So I started on Sunday.
This week.
This week on Sunday. So I've had 3 days of training so far. So it's still very, very new, but it's been an amazing training experience so far, and I've already gotten to learn so much and
Right.
experience some brand new things. So
Now, as you're training, you're not in Magic Kingdom, right? You're at casting? Okay.
I'm in Magic Kingdom.
So
Yeah.
they're doing hands-on training for you.
hands-on training. Obviously, I was not quite, in the castle in the chair for the first few days, but I will say yesterday, I was there and I was with three little girls and I did their hair for the very first time. Yeah,
Oh
it
my,
was terrifying, but also it was amazing.
right.
And definitely theater experience helped me with that, with the storytelling and,
Mhm.
helping with hair and makeup and different things like that. But yeah, I yesterday was my very first day in the castle with kids in my chair.
Wow.
Yeah. So there were
Wow.
three little girls walking around with my bun in Magic Kingdom
That's
yesterday.
so cool.
It was very weird. Yeah.
Mhm.
I came home and my mom was like, "So how was it?" And I was like, "Well, there's people out there with my hair."
Just surreal, right? And
Yeah,
those
it was very
pictures
surreal.
that they took with your hair are going to be memories for the rest of their lives.
Exactly. I have the pictures of me in the chair at the castle from when I did it,
Wow.
when I did the boutique experience.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, I can't even imagine.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
crazy.
Oh my gosh. We were able to do the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique experience. My daughter had no interest in doing it the first couple of years that we were going there, and she's 11 now. And she decided a year ago when she was 10, she was like, "I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to do it, and I want to do it before I get too old." And then it's
Hmm.
like, I shouldn't do it. And so she said,
Yeah.
"Let's just do it." So I said, "Perfect, let's do it." And we had the coolest experience. It really is magical inside. Um, I have to look up a couple of names of who our fairy godmother apprentice was. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna see if I can connect see if you know them.
Yeah.
Um
Maybe.
maybe that's so cool. So
Yeah.
did all three of these girls have the same did they choose the same hairstyle? Did they want something different?
So two of them had the same hairstyle. One of them had basically the same but slightly different. I mean, the one that they say the most is the common is the enchanted, right? That classic little Cinderella bun up top.
Hmm.
So that's what I did the most. But one of them was the royal braid. So that one is basically the enchanted bun, but you add like a little hair accessory braid around the bun.
Hmm. That's so fun.
Yeah. So just getting used to pulling that hair up and slicking it back and making it that uniform look that they're looking for. That's what I'm getting used to.
Right, right. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay. So, do you have things that you're looking forward to when it comes to that? Like, are there special pixie dust moments besides it just being a magical experience? Are there little opportunities that you can sprinkle things in?
That kind of comes with your storytelling. You can create there's obviously set storylines, but you
Hmm.
can also have fun with what they're saying. And sometimes you may not even talk about Disney. Like maybe they just want to talk about their dance class. Let's talk about your dance class. Let's do
Yeah.
it. It's basically you read the child, you read what they're saying to you, and we're gonna have a conversation about whatever you want to talk about,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So
all.
one of the little girls we had yesterday was maybe 3. She was 3, and so she was really quiet. And so we're just, leaning in as best we can and creating the conversation from there, and then elaborating the storyline, right? Just because she is quiet, because she's young. But then one of the girls we had was 11.
Hmm.
So she's maybe not as like swept away by it all, but she was
Yeah.
still having fun.
Right.
But those were very different conversations then of like, okay, let's talk about, your sport. Let's do it. Like, what do you do? So it's different for each kid.
Right. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Um, did it help that you grew up in the theater and you had theater makeup hair experience, do you think, in getting the job?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they ask you those questions in your interview process. They ask if you have any experience with storytelling or different things. So, like, I was like, do I? Yes, I
Yes.
do.
Yes.
But yeah, and then, helping with kids' makeup too backstage, at shows.
Hmm.
Um, certainly helps to as well. And
Yeah.
it's become like, okay, like let's get back into the groove of what I used to do a little bit.
Right. Right. Exactly. Um, well, and it helps, I'm sure that with Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, there's a certain standard of what it's going to be. And then from
Yeah.
there, you can just personalize with what colors they want or, the little
Hmm.
pieces
Yeah.
there.
There are certain storyline aspects that are set in stone. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Um, so Then, as an adult, what really excites you most about being at Disney?
As a guest, you mean, or as a cast member?
Both. Both.
Both. Um, as a guest, I mean, when I came to Disney the first time after my college program, it had been a few years since we had been there just because, COVID happened. And then I was like a senior in college or in high school.
Mhm.
So we were doing a few things for that. We came for my Sweet 16, and that was what like solidified it for me that
Right.
I was going to work for Disney.
Yeah.
Like we hadn't been in a few years, and then we went, and I was like, oh, this is like, I'm going to be here. Like,
Right.
this is where I'm going to be.
Right.
Um, so coming as a guest, I got to experience some stuff that I had never experienced before. Guardians had just opened when I moved down here like a few months prior, so I'd never ridden it.
Mhm.
So I still get to have those first time experiences. And now that I live here, I have a main entrance pass to get into the parks. That helps. Um, those types of things, I have been doing maybe some more experiences that I wouldn't have necessarily done, or even my parents, so they're annual pass holders, so we go to restaurants that we had never been to before.
Right.
Just because when you're coming down here, you're paying for your flight down, you're paying to stay here, you're paying for your tickets, all those different things. You're not necessarily thinking, okay, let's do this really like cool,
Mhm.
dinner experience just because, oh, we'll have a Mickey pretzel or whatever it is. So we've kind of branched out a little bit and we've started eating at some of the restaurants that we've always wanted to try.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm a foodie, so I'm all about it. My dad's goal right now is to eat at every restaurant in Epcot,
Love it.
or at least one in every country.
Yes.
That's his, but I think you have to do all of them if you're
You
going
have
to
to
do
do
one in
all of
every
them.
country. I was like, only a few of them have multiple. We can do it.
Yes. Oh, that
So
is
that
a very doable thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's trying to spread it out. But
Oh, yes.
that, and then also for his birthday last year, we did the Keys to the Kingdom tour, which was like a dream of ours always to do it.
Mhm.
But once again, it was like, okay, it's your birthday. We live at Disney. We get to do a fun Disney thing for your birthday.
Yeah.
So that was really cool, especially for them. I had been in the utilidors before, but they had
Okay.
never been. So.
Yeah. Was it different you being a cast member and doing the Keys to the Kingdom tour?
Yes, like I'm sure they saw it very differently than I saw it, just because some of the areas that we, went in to like see, I had been before. So I
Right.
was like, oh yeah, I know where I am, and
Yeah.
and also like I feel like sometimes when those tours are happening, um, the cast members are kind of like a fish in a fish tank, right?
Mhm.
Like they're just in their natural habitat. Yeah, they're wearing these classic costumes, but they're just walking to their job. But to them, they're like, oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
person right there is a Jungle Cruise skipper and they're walking past me or whatever it is.
Right.
And I kind of have experienced that a few times now. Every time that I'm going into work the past 3 days, there have been Keys to the Kingdom tours going on and they're looking at me and I'm like, hey,
And you are in
hi.
this classic
Very
costume.
classic costume.
Very,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow. That's awesome. So, do you see yourself long term at Disney? Do you see this just
that's the
being like this
goal.
is your career?
Yeah, that's the goal for me. I'm not entirely sure, where that will
Right.
lead me to. My major is event management,
Mhm.
so event planning is kind of what I am hoping to kind of lean into eventually one day. But right now, I'm pretty happy to make some magic for little kids and sprinkle pixie dust on them. So,
Absolutely. Well, you really get
yeah,
I was going to say your hands dirty, but it's not even that. It's just really just dig into what it looks like
yeah,
on the ground so
yeah.
that, later on, if you do get to work on the corporate side of it, then you have had that experience.
Yeah, exactly. Had that experience, had that opportunity. So, yeah. And
That's,
my boyfriend works for Disney as well, so he drives the monorail.
oh,
I know. Yeah,
um,
he's super cool.
can I talk to him? Can I interview him for a podcast?
I'll see what I can do.
That is so cool.
Super cool. Yeah, I know. I was talking to him after I got my phone fell. After I got my new role and I was like, "Hey, we're kind of really cool. Like you drive the mo."
All right, so the signal has cut out for a little bit. We'll see if we can get Haley back on here because I have some Magic Minute questions I am really excited to find out about, and some that we already know the answer to.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, those things happen. So
There we go.
we were talking about your ultimate cool kid status.
Oh yeah. How my boyfriend drives the monorail and I'm a fairy godmother
Yeah.
apprentice and I was just like, we're a cool Disney couple. Yeah, we are.
Now you met at Disney?
We did actually. He was in the Disney College program as well,
Mhm.
and was at outdoor vending at Hollywood Studios. And so we met there. Um, never trained him.
Okay.
Like in our whole friend group, I trained a lot of people.
Right.
Um, and I trained everybody in our friend group except for him, which I think was just ironic.
That's funny.
But also maybe for the better, because maybe if we had met as my trainer, maybe that wouldn't have ended up how it is. But we ended up in the same friend group. And yeah, we've been together for almost a year, a little over a year and a half now. So we met right there at Hollywood Studios. He left the company for a little bit. Because they were on a hiring freeze actually last January. So they were not letting any CPs basically go full-time, part-time at all. They weren't hiring at all. They're just so overstaffed. And so he was at the local like surrounding theme parks. So he was at SeaWorld, he was at Universal, before he got back with the monorail, which is just such a iconic
Oh my
thing.
goodness.
So now
Yes.
I'm happy that I have an iconic thing now too, because we have discounts, right, when we're purchasing stuff at the parks, right? And so everybody always asks, "Oh, where do you make magic?" Like that's the phrase we use. Where do you make magic? And I would say, "Oh, outdoor vending at Hollywood Studios," and they'd say, "I'm sorry." And he'd
Oh,
be like, "I drive the monorail," and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, tell me all about it." Da, 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 da. And like I get it, I would be the same
right.
way. But I'm
Right.
standing there, I'm like, I make Mickey pretzels, but now we can both be like, here's what we do. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. That's so fun. Um, okay, so are you ready for some Magic Minute questions?
I'm ready.
Okay, all right, perfect. Some of these we've gone over already, so they'll be kind of quick. All right, the first
Okay.
one is what is your favorite Disney movie?
My favorite Disney movie is Up.
Oh,
I see your
wonderful.
little, I see your house,
Yes.
I see your adventure book. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So Up is I have a lot that tie for my favorite. Up is so special. When I was a teacher, I would constantly play the whole soundtrack in my class as we were doing writing assignments. My kids' first birthday party, I have twins, was an Up theme because they looked like they were bald,
Oh,
and so they looked like little old people, and so we turned our entire downstairs to that.
yeah.
Up is
Up is
so
great.
special.
Nostalgia wise, it's the Aristocats,
Oh.
but those are like my top two. But Up,
Oh, that's a
like
good
that's
one
my
too.
ringtone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a cat?
No, 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 the Up
Oh.
theme song.
Oh, good ringtone.
That's my ringtone.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea.
It's been my ringtone since I was in middle school.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Just the do 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 do. Oh, so good.
Makes me happy.
I don't know why I didn't think of
Oh.
that as a ringtone. I have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway as my ringtone. It's
But that's a
very,
great one too.
it is. It's very loud and jarring though. I will
Exactly.
admit.
Mine is like soft, and so
Yes.
sometimes my parents are like, "You can hear that? Like, what do you need?" Yeah.
No, I probably need to switch it to something like that. I like it. Okay. What character do you identify with the most?
Oh, probably Rapunzel, just because like I do love her sunshiny outlook on life, and like that's what I like try to lean towards a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but if I could, like I always think about Ellie Fredrickson,
Yeah.
from Up, like her dream for for the adventure, no matter what life throws at you. Like,
Right.
um, that's what I want to be. I want to be able to embrace what life has
Yeah.
and accept it and create your own memories and adventures from that, if that makes sense.
A
I feel like that
hundred
like is
percent.
her a little bit.
100%. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense that Rapunzel's in there too, because it's like Rapunzel is the dream piece of it, and Ellie is almost the boots on the ground, like going and working.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
So if you could only visit one park, what would it be?
It's gonna be magic.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's that nostalgia aspect of it. I love all the parks, but that's just my parents were a little crazy and they took me to Disney on the weekends sometimes.
Mhm.
So like we would drive down from Virginia and we'd just spend one day at Magic Kingdom and we'd drive back. And that was my childhood, which is absurd. And like, it was one of those things where like I talk to my friends and I'd be like, what do you mean you don't go to Disney on the weekends? I do. And so it was
It's
one
a
of those
10-hour drive.
they would do it though, just because they loved it, and I'm sure they loved being there, and seeing it from a kid's eyes, with me. So, yeah. So just everything about Magic Kingdom
You
is
say
special.
you say that it's crazy, but here I am on the other side of it as a parent of 11-year-olds, and I would 100% if we weren't as busy doing shows every single weekend,
Hmm.
I would 100% be driving down for the one day at Disney. I would be doing that too.
Why not?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, that's just we'd drive down, we'd grab as many paper fast passes as we could, and
Right.
yeah.
So good. Um, I mean, it's doable. And now there's direct flights too, but I don't fly. I like driving. I like having my
Mhm.
car and all of my Disney stuff with me. If you only have time for one ride, and let's say all of the rides are open and working, what would it be?
At any park,
Any park.
Guardians.
Yeah. Nice.
I just love it. I'm still missing one song, so
What song do you
I
need?
need conga.
Oh, do you though?
I exactly. That's the thing, is like that's everybody's least favorite, and
Right.
the last two that I had left were Disco Inferno and Conga, which are
Oh,
like everybody's. I feel like those on the list are everybody's lowest two,
right.
and so I was like,
They are completely different experiences though. Disco Inferno, I think we've gotten that
it
the most times.
okay.
And it's an experience doing it
It
with Disco
is. It
Inferno. And
is.
then
Yeah.
Conga is it's nauseating. I can barely do the ride anyway. Normally I'm sending my kids on it and I'm skipping it because I need to be feeling good the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But Conga, I cannot.
Yeah, that's the one I'm missing still,
But
almost 3 years later.
oh my goodness. But for you, I hope that you get it soon.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope
Yes.
so.
Good. What is your favorite snack on property?
Okay, so that's a tough question because I'm a big Mickey pretzel fan.
Okay.
Love me a Mickey pretzel, but we sell stuffed pretzels too.
Hmm.
So there's the cream cheese stuffed pretzel,
Hmm.
and that is just my ultimate favorite. So
Okay.
I guess pretzels in general, but
Yes.
the
Yes.
cream cheese stuffed pretzel.
Okay. All right. Which carts is the cream cheese stuffed pretzel?
So the cream cheese stuffed pretzel is sold at Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom. So at
Okay.
Magic Kingdom, it's at the lunching pad in
Hmm.
Tomorrowland.
Hmm.
At Hollywood Studios, it's sold at Pretzel Palooza, which is right outside of Rock Station or Rock and Roller Coaster. And then the market cart right before you go into Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. So people can go and find those.
Yeah.
What is your favorite food? I'm adding this one in, just food in general
Food in general
at Disney.
at Disney. I like corn dog nuggets.
Yeah? Are
I
you
feel
going
like if
Casey's Corner?
I'm going to Casey's Corner,
Okay.
probably. Like that's just like one of my go-to, like let's grab something quick.
Hmm.
Casey's Corners, yeah.
Okay, perfect. I love that they stay open after the park closes so we can
Oh
get
yeah.
on our way out of the park. We're not a rope drop family. We're a park closed family.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Do you have any tips or tricks that you can share?
For if a guest is coming,
Yes.
my biggest thing is just do some research before you come. Um, I was shocked at how much people don't do research before they come to the parks. I don't know, like even though we were Disney crazy, we always had an agenda of what we were going to do when we were going to do it. Especially if you're doing like a four parks in one day situation, which we did before. We had timelines. We were like, we got to be out of here by this time.
Yes.
Um, but you would be shocked how many people spend thousands and thousands of dollars to come here and they don't know anything about our parks.
Mhm.
Um, People were always asking where the Incredicoaster was or where Cars Land was. And yeah.
Oh
So,
no.
you know, I'm not saying you have to have a printed out agenda or anything, but create a list of like your main items that you want to do. your main rides, your main shows, your main parades, maybe. Um, is there a snack that you wanna get? Just like do a quick overview, especially if you're going to multiple parks, because sometimes it'll be like, oh, they're looking for this specific snack that's only at this park, but they spent the day at the park yesterday and then they're not going back. Um, that's my biggest thing, really. Um, and also, I feel like, if you're going to use Genie Plus or Lightning or whatever it is now, they keep changing it. Um, maybe do some research on that too before you book it. Because
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like people book some stuff and then like it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be, or they're not happy with what they actually ended up booking, or they didn't know they had to be up at 7 a.m. to book it and now there's nothing left that they actually want and now they have a lightning lane for It's a Small World and it's like a 5 minute wait, those
I
types of
know.
things. So
Yes.
I really do think for Walt Disney World, your research is super, super important. Just know what you want to do before you come. Maybe make a small little list and make sure okay, Beauty and the Beast stops running at a certain time. So unfortunately, at 7 p.m., you cannot see that show anymore.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think that that's why a lot of families will say we're only going once, and then once they're there they'll say, "Oh no, we're going to come back," because it's almost like that first trip you have to be there and experience it. As much preparation as you do beforehand, you have to know what it is and what you like to then be prepared for the second
Yeah.
trip or the 40th trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. Yeah. But it does
Exactly.
happen quite a lot where they're looking for something that like I had someone actually before at Hollywood Studios, before I left, they showed me a map that they had downloaded online from 2016 of Hollywood Studios.
Oh no. Oh no.
And I was like, they were like, yeah, where's this? And I was like, that hasn't been in the park for like 7 years.
Wow.
Like it was so old. It had the Jedi training on it that used to
Oh,
happen by Star Tours. What were they looking for?
yes.
They were looking for something that was no longer even like existing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were looking for an attraction that no longer existed. Like it had, and I was like, oh, unfortunately that hasn't been here for a few years. Yeah, that,
Oh.
if you want to go to this area, that's where it used to be, and that's what we have there now. But I was like, and so like we got them an updated map, but
Yes.
I was like, oh, I never had that happen before.
Right,
I had a
right.
lot of weird questions, but never that one.
Do you remember any weird questions that you've gotten?
A lot of it has to do with, once again, research.
Okay.
But I had someone come up to me and say, hey, where's Haunted Mansion? I can't find it. Did you guys get rid of it? And I was like, no, that's in Magic Kingdom. But if you want ghosts, we have some at Tower. Like it's not the same ride at all, but there are ghosts there. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so there's that one. I've had a lot of people ask if they can walk to Magic Kingdom.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I'm
You'll
like,
be really tired if you do.
I was like, you'd be really tired. You'd also be on like a major road. So I don't think you want to do that.
Right. So, I mean, I will say from Hollywood, you could take the boat over to Epcot and you could walk through Epcot and then you could take the
Take
monorail
the
over. So,
monorail,
technically, you could do it.
but it would take like 2 hours.
It would. It would. Take the
Yeah,
park hopper bus.
take the park hopper bus. But
Yeah.
yeah, just some of those fun questions, just that always are like, wow. I had one lady ask me if she could find some of our merch at Universal,
Oh
and I
no.
was like, no, nothing you see today you're gonna see at Universal. No, we're two different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, but it's an aspect of it. It's part of theme park industry. Especially here in Orlando where there's so much and it's so close together. Like a lot of times people don't even realize that we are different entities sometimes. Like
Right.
it's like a thing. Which
Right.
like to someone like me who's like a theme park like crazy person and like knows all about Disney and also, like I'm a pass holder at Universal. Like I go there too. Like what do you mean you don't know the difference? But like people just don't. Like
Right.
it's just something, yeah.
Right. How is Epic Universe?
So good. It
Okay.
was so good. So I have a friend who is a VIP tour guide, and is one of the opening VIP tour guides at Epic.
Oh.
So yeah. So he actually brought us during the team member previews. So we were some of the very, very first people to come in after the team members themselves came. So Ministry of Magic wasn't even open to like nobody had written it yet when I went. So that's tells you how early I went.
Right.
Um, so that was like, sad, but also like we still got to walk through the queue. which is
Mhm.
like I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yes.
So like I like stopped in my tracks. I went through the Flu Network, I walked into the Ministry, and I was like, no way. But it was really, really cool. And we actually had, it's an opening theme park, so not everything's going to be operational,
Right.
100% yet. That's just part of opening anything at a theme park, but especially opening a brand new park.
And
Um,
something that giant. I mean, that is on a massive scale.
it's crazy, but we had a really good day where almost every single ride was up
That's
and we rode everything but two rides. And honestly, like I wasn't upset we didn't ride those two rides. It was like the water ride and then like
Mhm.
the one in Isle of Bark where it like flips like this. Like I would have done it, but
Yeah.
we followed my friend. He told us what we needed to do and we did it because we were like, you know this place better than anybody.
Right.
So it was truly magical.
Yeah.
Once again, one of those special things, that I got to be a part of theme park industry wise, where I got to see something brand new.
Yeah.
I've been a part of the Fantasmic previews, Tron, um, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, um, Moana, the
Mhm.
Moana Journey into Water, and then I just did the Little Mermaid and the Villains show. This past week I did the previews for that. So
Yeah.
I've had some really awesome experiences with Disney and my cast previews and also Universal now.
Yeah.
Um, Getting to see those things first. And then also being able to tell the guests when they're asking me about it, hey, what's it
Right.
like? Okay, I can tell you. Yeah.
Right. You have that experience. You have,
Mhm.
that knowledge of it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Well, Haley, I want to ask before we kind of say how people can find you. Um, if anyone is interested in booking directly with you, can they do that as Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique? Can they request
Mm,
you?
I
Like,
don't think so. I don't
okay.
believe so. Not that I'm aware. It's pretty much just randomized. Like they say, they print a little ticket with us and that way we know some of the information, but I don't even see the kid or their head of hair until I walk in and say hello. I'm your fairy
Yes.
godmother apprentice today.
Yes.
Um, so not that I'm aware.
Okay. All right.
Just get
Good. Good.
lucky.
Absolutely. So then how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram that I'm pretty active on. I post a lot about working at Disney, on my stories and different things, and that's HR Hightower.
Awesome.
Um, that's my little handle.
Perfect. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes so people
Yeah.
can easily click and find you. So cool. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that we should know before we sign off?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I've loved every second I've had with Disney. It was my dream, and it truly has lived up to everything and more that I could have hoped for. And I have had some unique experiences where I get to be a part of brand new things like Fantasmic or opening Jollywood Nights or different things like that. It all just kind of happened where I just got to be in the right place at the right time and be a part of those unique experiences, not just for guests, but for myself as a cast member.
Right.
Um, and I can't wait to see where else the magic leads me.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. Well, we are going to be coming back to the parks definitely in the fall. I'm trying to get a summertime trip. I just don't know if we can squeeze it in,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna see if I can come and say a hello while we're.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love, love, love to say hi to people that I know, or a lot of times, sometimes it's character works families that maybe, I didn't have that much time with, but I'm like, hey, I'm here. Let's say hi. Like,
Yes,
I'm all about seeing people. And crazy enough, I see people accidentally all the time.
I believe
I
it.
just run into them and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yes,
hey, you're at Disney. This is
yes.
where I work. Yeah.
So funny. We were there over spring break, and I think that there were three or four other Character Works families that we just happened to run
Gosh,
into, and I was like, it's wild.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
But
Jessica Brown, actually, who you had on the show prior, I mean, she and I did shows together. But the very first time she wasn't hired, she wasn't on the college program yet, but her and her dad just happened to be in the park one day, and I walked past them, and they were like, Haley? And I was like, oh my gosh, hey. Yeah, it just happens. Yeah.
right, right, exactly. It's amazing how big the world is, and then how big Disney is, but yet it's not. You just are like,
It's a small world.
and there you are. It's a small world after all.
Yes,
Awesome. Well, Haley, thank you so much again.
absolutely. Yeah. It's been awesome. I
Good.
love getting to talk about Disney and my time at Disney, and this is actually the very first time that I've actually had this kind of experience where I've gotten to share it with someone like this. So it's been awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the insight and just the positivity. I mean,
Yeah,
you are exactly the epitome of a Disney cast member and that positivity, and it's just so
thank you.
fun just being able to hear the backstories of everything because I love it. I love Disney for the movies. I love it for the parks. I love it for what it brings out in my children and myself. But as a theater kid, I also love these stories because that is just like you are the magic. You are what makes
Yeah,
it really
you
cool.
are. Yeah. When I
Yeah.
first started, what was the show? The fireworks show Enchantment.
Hmm.
That was what was on there, and I know that had some mixed reviews, but the whole song was "You Are the Magic," and so that will always be one of my favorite moments of I got to go to Magic Kingdom with my pass, and I got to sit there and just watch it, and like Mickey was saying, "You are the magic," and I was like, I
Yeah.
am the magic." But, like it's just so special. So,
Right, right. And, for guests, it is the magic that you bring to it as well. You go in with that positivity and that excitement, and you will find the magic in it. Yeah.
yeah.
But thank you from on behalf of all of us guests, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you for having me.
absolutely. That's a wrap on this episode of Backstage Pass. I hope you loved getting a glimpse behind the magic with me today. As a note, the stories and views expressed in this podcast are not affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by the Walt Disney Company. And the stories, they don't stop here. I want to hear from you. If you're a current or former Disney cast member with a story to share, or if you've had a truly magical experience with a cast member in the parks, I'd love to feature it on a future episode. Reach out to me at the link in the show notes. And of course, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow Disney fans. Until next time, keep believing in the magic.